Hey there, welcome to the video. I'm Mark Brown from editorskeys.com, and if you're new here, consider subscribing if you're into Final Cut Pro. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to master Final Cut Pro if you're a beginner, especially if you're coming from a program like iMovie. So let's just jump straight into the MacBook Pro and Final Cut Pro, and I'll show you how all this works. Okay, so when you first open Final Cut Pro, the most important thing you want to do is become super organized. So what I do is I save all my footage on an external SSD. Not only is it a great place to store your footage, it's going to be faster than an old spinning disk. So what I next do is I create folders for all of the types of footage I have. So you can see here, I'm going to create one for GoPro, I'm going to create one for the iPhone footage, I'm going to create one for the Sony DSLR or A7S III, and one for sound effects. Now, the reason for this is fairly obvious, but this will keep all of your footage and audio organized, and then I'm going to show you what you can do and how you can import this into Final Cut Pro. So let's do that. Tip 2, shortcuts, shortcuts, shortcuts. Final Cut Pro is packed with shortcuts that can save you a ton of time. So take time to learn them and use them all. Trust me, it will be worth it. When you start to know all of the shortcuts, it saves you so much time compared to looking through menus or clicking icons with your mouse. This right here is the Editor's Keys keyboard cover from Final Cut Pro. I'll put links to both the keyboard covers and the dedicated keyboards in the description below. Tip 3, presets. These are your new best friend. Don't be afraid to use these presets that you can see here on the right hand side. They're super useful, but I'm going to show you an even more powerful way of using them. So first of all, let me just show you, if you wanted to make this clip look like an old TV, you can simply grab this and drag and drop it on top, and it's going to give you that effect. So super handy. But this is another way that I use presets. So let's just say I want to do some color correction here. I'm just going to do this very fast for you. Let's just say you're always using the same camera and you find that you want to bring the shadows down, you want to bring the midtones down a little bit to crunch it, the highlights are a bit bright, so we're going to bring those down, and then we're going to, globally, we're going to make the saturation a bit higher. So if we look at the before and after, you can see the difference there. Now let's say we want to do some other basic things and we want to do this on almost every shot that we do. Let's just say I wanted to add an aged film look on there. So you can see we've got our color correction and we've got this aged film effect. Now you can go through and add multiple effects. Maybe you want to add some stabilization, etc. You can do that. But what a lot of people don't realize is that they do this and then they'll either copy and paste this to the next clip. And what you can actually do to speed things up a lot here in Final Cut Pro is save effects preset. Click this here. So you can tick all of these boxes here that you want it to apply to if you don't want it to rotate and things like that. And then give it a name. So this is going to be color graded TV. I'm going to save that. Boom. And now that will be in all of our video effects. So if I type in color graded TV, we can see it comes up there. So you can see I've got this effect here. I'm just going to simply drag and drop this onto the first clip and it's giving it the exact same look. We can even do it on this footage here. Boom. And we can apply this to multiple shots. So this is super handy. I do this when I'm filming with my iPhone because I know the iPhone footage comes out almost the same every time. And I could simply add some effects that make the iPhone really pop. Tip 4 is color grading. Don't be afraid. I'm going to give you a very quick tutorial here on what I do to most of my shots most of the time. So let's actually remove the color wheels and the aged effect. And I'll show you what I would generally do as a very quick color correction and see if this helps you. So I'm going to click up here and I'm going to make sure I've got the color wheels set up. If you haven't got the color wheels, you can click this here and just change it to color wheels right here. The next thing I'm going to do is, let's get rid of that. I'm going to click view and then I'm going to click view video scopes. And then I have this icon here and I have it set to waveform and luma. And then essentially what I do, how I do it if I want to do a quick color grade, is I use these waveforms here. Now it looks pretty confusing if you're looking at this for the first time, but essentially the 0 is your shadows, the 98 to 100 is your highlights. You don't want any highlights going higher than this, and you don't want any shadows going lower than this. but you can also use it to make your footage look a lot better. So I start here, I start with the shadows. I bring the shadows down so they're kind of touching that bottom line there like that. I'm only going to make subtle adjustments here. Midtones, this is really up to you. Bring it up if you want the mid tones of your footage to be brighter, or if you want to give it a more crunched look, you can bring it down. I quite like bringing it down a lot of the time, so I'm going to bring that down there. The highlights in this shot, they can actually go up a little bit, so I'm going to bring that up there. And then saturation, you can either again bring it down, you're going to go back to global, and you can either bring your saturation down here like this to desaturate, or in my case, I want to saturate this, so I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Now, if we turn this tick box on and off, you can see just these subtle adjustments makes quite a big difference to the footage there. Look at that. Let's try again on another clip here. So I'm just going to quickly delete off the effects that we put on here. And actually, this is coming straight out of a GoPro, so this is actually looking pretty damn good. But I'm going to do the same thing. So let's go to shadows. I think we could really bring these shadows down here. I'm just going to delete this because we've already got the color wheels. Okay, so let's bring the shadows down so they're touching that bottom line there, just below it. I think that looks good. Midtones, again, I'm going to bring these down because you can see the midtones here are quite high up. I'm going to bring them so they're a little bit lower down. And it will actually make the blues a little bit more punchy. If you bring them all the way down, you can see that there, look how punchy they look. If I bring it up, they look too washed out. So I'm going to bring it down there. So they're sitting right within that sort of 50 area. Highlights, the highlights aren't too bad, but they could actually do being brought up a little bit. So I'm just going to bring them up slightly there. And then globally, I actually think the saturation is okay. So I would generally leave that, but let's just bring it up a little bit so you can see what it would look like. And now let's turn it on and off. There we go. And even though that footage looked really great when I first played it to you, didn't it? Just ticking it on, making those really subtle adjustments there, really is making this GoPro footage really start to pop. So don't be afraid to use color correction. Tip 5 is the magic of 3-point editing. Actually, I would say there's 4-point editing. I'm going to show you 4 keys that really help me edit a lot faster. So the first one is the Q, and this is the connect key on your keyboard shortcuts. So let's just say you're editing along and you want this cathedral shot here to appear above this timeline as a connected clip. Simply mark your in and out points and then tap Q on your keyboard. And you can see here, the clip has been connected to the clip below it. And if we move it around, it's gonna stay put. That's one of the keyboard shortcuts. Let's delete that. Now let's just say we want to insert the clip right here where I put the playhead. Again, I'm gonna go up here, these are my in and out points, and I'm gonna hit the W key. Boom, it's inserted this footage right between the clip here. Split the clip and put this in between. Super handy edit. Let's go back. Next up is the append. Now append is with the E key. So press E and this is going to send it right to the end of your timeline. So this one is super handy actually if, like me, sometimes you've got clips that are actually in order. So I'll go through, I'll mark an in point there, an out point there, and then I'll just press E and then it's going to go down. So it's a very quick way of adding clips to your timeline once you've made the in and out points. So you can do in and out up here, drag them down, well, not even drag them down, use the E, the append. This is the magic here, using these shortcuts, the append key, and then we can get editing like that. Next up is the overwrite key. Very, very similar essentially to what we've been doing, but we're going to press D here, and you can see what it's actually going to do is it's just going to overwrite anything that's in that place there. So let's do that again. So if we have the playhead there and on here we press the D key, boom, it's actually going to overwrite whatever is there and replace it with the clip you have from your project viewer. Tip 6 is to make sure you use audio enhancements. These are a real big deal and I've got some major improvements recently in Final Cut. I can't play out audio to you right now, but I really want you to play around with these. Forget some of the audio effects you have down here. A lot of people go straight to these, but actually if you're doing a piece to camera, if you have a small microphone, if you're recording and there's noise in the background, check out the other videos on our channel where we've actually tested this out. But this is one of my favorites. The voice isolation tool is so good. I'll put a link up in the description above this video to check out that video, but this will help you remove any background noise. You've also got equalizations as well, which you can completely play around with. and make your audio sound as good as it coming from a studio. We've got loudness, we've got noise removal, we've got hum removal as well. And you can add other effects like panning if you want the audio to go to the left and the right. And you can add keyframes as well. So if you want to add fading to your audio, you can do that here with keyframes. If you want to see a video on keyframes, let me know and I'll get that one recorded. Next up is compound clips. Let's just say you've got 10 clips in your timeline and you don't want Final Cut to mess these around and you want to treat those clips as one clip. All you need to do is select all of your clips. This could be any number of clips. I'm just going to show you with these two here. And then I'm going to hit Option and G. And this is going to create a new compound clip. Call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it FCP clip. We then have this single clip here that now can't be chopped apart, moved around or edited. Super handy if you have a sequence that you want to keep locked in. Now I can hear you saying, Mark, well what if I actually want to change the edit? All you do is double click and you can change and then go back. Boom. This is a compound clip. And then finally, when you have your edit ready, make sure to use the share button up here. Now, there's lots of different settings, but actually, if you want to quickly export for YouTube or Facebook, there is nothing wrong with using this export setting. It's as close to perfect as possible in terms of allowing you to export something super fast that works really well for YouTube, TikTok, or YouTube. So I'd recommend definitely starting with this option. You just want to make sure that you do enter your title here, your description, any tags, because this helps you become found if you're using on platforms like YouTube. You can change the resolution and then change the compression for either faster encode or better quality. Once you get a bit more experience, you can change it and start making your own defaults. There's loads of great videos on this and we have a video on the channel if you want to see how you can export in the very best settings for YouTube. So there we go. Thanks for watching. I hope that helped and make sure to check out our next Final Cut Pro video up here.